Today, I've got a very special guest joining me on the Authentic Me podcast. Now, not just any guest, but a very, very special guest that is my own personal business and development coach. His name is Chent Thambiah. Chent is a startup entrepreneur and high-performance coach that helps leaders and founders all across the world. He has worked a decade across Australasia and most recently in the UAE. What I love about Chent is the unique mix he brings. On one side, he's all about innovation and disrupting industries like AI, blockchain, and mixed reality. And on the other side, he's deeply rooted in human psychology, everything from visualization, meditation, and understanding full alignment on how to live a purposeful life. His real gift is helping entrepreneurs step into their authority. He helps thought leaders, people of influence, and people to find their voice and be able to share that online. I can tell you personally that Chent has changed my life. I'm incredibly honored to have him on the show today. He is my mentor, he is my business coach, and he's also recently a very dear friend. Please welcome to the Authentic Me podcast, Chent Thambiah.
What an intro, what an intro. Pleasure to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to jump straight into it because you and me both love to go deep.
Yes.
And so as I guess with bios, you've become this amazing entrepreneur, you've got all these accolades, you've traveled all around the world, but I guess it wasn't always like that. And so for me, I'm very curious to know how Chent became Chent. And most of the time, we develop little intricacies from an early age. So I'd love to know, who were you before this person that stands in front of me?
Where do I start? Like, do you want me to give me an age and I'll deep dive with you?
I'd love to know like between 0 to 7, like really those early on ages, what influenced you? What were you like as a kid going before school?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, I was disruptive, extremely, extremely creative. I had a wild imagination. I was in my head a lot, living as a child. I was truly a child, you could say, and then obviously as 0 to 7, I grew up in Auckland, New Zealand. In my household, my brother, mum, and dad were all Malaysian, and then they moved over. So I was technically the only Kiwi. And I always felt at home that I was the odd one out. It was weird. Like, I'm the only Kiwi, and I was bringing like Māori into the household because we learn Māori in New Zealand schools. Just things like that. I felt sort of disconnected in home. But at the same time, when it came to, schools, I'm Indian. I'm Malaysian Indian. I'm not New Zealander. I'm not Kiwi. I'm not Māori myself. I'm not Polynesian. So I always had this thing where I needed to fit in. I noticed that start to become more and more prominent, obviously in my later years. But I always, I think, pegged, even as a child, my value on how well I fit into things. And I wasn't really a loner or an introvert. That sort of happened later in life, which was interesting. But yeah, like innocent, big imagination, creativity, and it sort of makes sense, this whole visionary thing now. It just makes a lot more sense of, that child has sort of come back and he gets to play through business.
Yeah. And then as you've moved through, I mean, I share similar understanding of not feeling like I belonged, or you're neither, for me, I was neither too Asian enough, but I wasn't Western enough. And so there was this like falling between the cracks of who am I, what am I doing? And so as we developed and as you grow up in high school, what was high school like for you as a kid? Were you still just as disruptive, still just as playful? And what was your friendship circle like?
Yeah, that was a big twist for me because at 14 I lost my mum, and that sent me heavily inward. It's like a fortification came up, and as playful and as open I was, I almost just honestly gave up. So that light had been sucked away from me. So I was almost just sitting in high school as like an empty shell. That's how I would describe it. And I still had that longing deep inside me though, because obviously you're going through puberty as well. Now you're looking at females, etc. So it's like, how do I get the attention of these females? But I'm sort of giving up on life. There's these friend groups and I want to be part of them, but I can swear on this, yeah? But fuck them. That was sort of the mentality. And eventually that attracted the mirror in my friend groups, where other people that think, fuck them. Other people that have the broken families, other people that even just, want to get the females, but even just the mentality of like females are just objects. That was sort of how, like, because any intimate connection was a no-no for me. So that sort of was what my high school was like, very disconnected, but also a deep longing that wasn't getting served, that then started to trickle into adulthood.
Yeah. And I want to stay on that and probe a little bit around the loss of your mum. And so at 14, at an age where you're just coming into your earliest ages of teens, and when you expect maybe both your parents in our lives to be with us, quote unquote, at that age, at least forever, what was that like for you?
It's interesting. I've been asked this so many times. I've shared this openly so many times, but I don't even know. Like, and what do I mean by that is, I remember I still had my like innocence where she got diagnosed with cancer when I was 10. She beat it. I was 11. It came back. I was 12. Started degrading. I was 13. Passed when I was 14. That was like the journey. But 10 to 14, I'm still like mummy's boy. I'm still like to be cuddled and held. I'm still like the 7-year-old. Still, I haven't fully stepped into like the 18-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Still got the hand-me-down clothes from my brother. I still haven't, like, I'm still a kid. So I didn't know how to comprehend it. I didn't understand what happened. It's just like, okay, this person is gone forever. You get 2 weeks off school, you're back to it. It's like, so ironically, like, how many years now? 2004. 21 years? 21 years, I think I'm still figuring out. I realize there's not a point you actually get to, which is quite ironic. I say this to a lot of people, and then I look in the mirror and realize, like, so I guess bringing it back, I just didn't understand what was happening, and that confusion actually led me inwards to come to some answers around life a lot sooner than most people would, or some people would never come to those answers,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a lot of why we connected so deeply as well with early loss and grief in our lives. And the grief never really leaves you. It just evolves or it changes. And sometimes it hits you for six. And I actually saw you did a really beautiful post, I think it was yesterday or this morning, on your Instagram story. And it was a photo of young Chent with mum. And I think you had written something around that you see her smile in you every day when you look in the mirror. And that really touched me, and just because they never really leave. And it's not so much, even though she's been, you've been without her for longer on Earthside than you've been with her, but you are the result of such a beautiful woman that I just feel very privileged to be able to experience through you. And she seemed like just such an amazing soul.
Yeah, 100%. My brother's like the splitting image of my dad, and I meant to get my mum straight. So my smile, big mouth, etc., eyes, even these under eyes, which I'm usually so insecure about, that's like my mum had them.
Yeah.
So it's crazy looking in the mirror like I see her, and as I step more into just being me and being a child again as an adult, I see more of her light come through me. Yeah, it's such a trip.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I think that level of awareness that you've got, you'll continue to form different relationships and new relationships as it evolves. And so you experience this pretty bad loss, bad quote unquote, but deep loss that most kids don't experience. And then you've moved into high school. What did that quote unquote people that said fuck this, fuck life, that kind of attitude, right, that chip on your shoulder, what did that then lead to you in your earlier adolescent days?
Yeah, it's we're all hit children that don't know how to process our emotions, so that we're projecting it, we're wearing it. So other broken families, but the thing is, all of these people understand each other. It's like I found a tribe that actually speaks my language. But also this tribe was already the neighborhood gang, and I saw how people feared them. I saw the respect they had. I saw the camaraderie they had. And for me, that was, I had nothing. I was going back home to a house that just felt like it was grayscale, no color. My brother's doing his thing, processing this. My dad's playing mom and dad, processing this. I just get to do what I want now, which sounds like the dream, but it's like, it's fucking cold.
Yeah.
So,
especially as a kid when you have no boundaries and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and that led me to many things. Like, I had the internet when I was fucking 10, and then I went deep into the depths of that world and, started to lose myself in that and gaming and just, and then when I saw these boys, I was like, man, I want to be part of that. And then I sort of like watched, and then I studied like gang culture, and just like I studied their work, because I'm not like naturally a violent guy. I don't like hitting people. I don't like confrontation. So I actually started subconsciously programming by feeding my mindset and things to assume and become.
Yeah.
And I became that. So, you know, I started to slowly get pulled in, and, you know, the boys became my family solid by the time I was like 19. And then that really was an interesting, you know, following 5 years after that.
And how do you still, because when people think my brothers or my friends are my family, does that still play true to date? Like when we talk about family, do you feel that at such an age and when you're affiliated or the values are aligning on those reasons, when it's about gangs, street, like just crime, drugs, like all these sort of things, is that still relevant for you? Like, are they still family?
Yes, and I would say like, because usually in cliques like that, there's a big, like, so we had like, I don't know, our larger group was easily 100, 150 plus, but then there's smaller pockets in it. My pocket was like 15. But those 15, we all connected on the same pain. We had the heart-to-hearts and the drink-ups, etc. And sometimes our pockets would brawl with other pockets within our gang. But there was like an inner loyalty, you know? And that loyalty, I still got a group chat with those guys.
Okay.
You know, no matter what path I took, no one was like, oh, why is Chent doing this? You know, I've heard comments from the other extended, but my circle was always my circle. No matter what path you take, we're this forever. So that is still family in that element. If they didn't understand the path I was taking and they, you know, try to force me into something that I wasn't, then they wouldn't be family, but they never done that.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible. I mean, to be able to have that bond, my lived experience is like the groups and friendship groups have constantly evolved and really learning and that has its own grief, but learning to surrender that not everyone's meant to be on that journey with you. People are in your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And I've just feel like I've had many, many seasons. But to have lifelong friendships that came from the hood, it's pretty cool.
100%. I'm so blessed because I've seen it go so many other ways.
Yeah.
And ironically, there's been a lot of friend groups that have not been like my active gang associates that haven't lasted. So it's almost like the code we had built was just almost like a code of morals and love. It was actually like a code of love that we stood by each other, you know, and there's been many things that have proven that during that season, and many things that have proven that since I've, you know, evolved and been pulled on different paths.
Okay, so then now we've got 18, 19-year-old Chent. I'm following through sort of thing, and you had 5 years of interesting memories and moments in life stories, I am sure. When was the pivotal moment that you then decided to step into at least the beginning of what you do now, which for me is personal development, professional development? You're a business mentor, you're a performance coach. That just feels like the polar end of the other side of the spectrum. So
True. It always gets dark, a lot darker before it gets light, if it gets lighter, or before any light comes to surface. So I would say the depths of my darkness was 22. From 19 to 22, it was like, okay, love is associated with reputation, and you get reputation by doing crime or being a nutcase, being crazy, being willing to do anything. So I was like, cool, that's the path for me. And as I started to assume that, I started to lose myself and become something that I wasn't. And there was a lot of moments that were like little, you know, Morpheus, which path do you take? And, you know, a big one for me was one of my 15. We went to a court sentencing for him. We thought he was just going to do, you know, a weekend in the cells as meant to be normal lifestyle in that world. But 3 years, 9 months, I remember hearing that hammer and saying, see you to the boy. He's gone. 3 years, 9 months. And we were just running amok 3-4 times a week, not realizing that's where it's going. So now we're all sitting outside the courthouse at 21. And I was thinking like, shit, like one of our 15 are gone. That was the extended boys are all doing time, but this is one of our 15. One of our family is gone now. And that was a moment for me. I was like, is this what you really want? But then the dialogue was, this is your family, bro. You gotta prepare for that. So then 21 to 22, I was just trying to get locked up. I was trying to program myself to be as heartless, as desensitized as possible.
Yeah.
The crazy extents of the types of visualizations I was going through in my head to remove emotion from my heart was crazy. And I started to see it. I remember looking in the mirror. It's crazy seeing the same eyes in the mirror even now. I see him, he's still there, but it's just it's an identity. That's why I feel so free from identities now. I remember looking in the mirror and I would leave the house knowing that I'm ready to kill,
Wow.
And that's the only way that I could survive the world that I'd created for myself. So something in that year of 2012 for me, no matter what I'd done, I could not get prison sentence. I could not get killed. Just something was protecting me. I was trying to welcome it. I was doing the most stupidest things. And then that led to just an epiphany a year later. There was just one moment, 2013. It was one of our death anniversaries for the boys. Everyone in the hood catches up. Ended up having a brawl with one of the older guys. Actually, these little scars are two things that I remember from it. And in that moment, the veil dropped. I don't know what it was. I just saw something. I really questioned, like, okay, I have my circle, but who's my family? And I forgot I had a dad, ironically. This whole time, my dad, from 14 to 23, I forgot I had a dad. I forgot I had a brother.
And were they still at home, obviously still providing, and you were so caught up in this friendship circle and gang world?
Yeah, I think I was just caught up in my hurt. I actually, in this moment, if I think about it, I think if I just blocked them out, I wouldn't have to potentially face the hit of losing another one. Because I remember, like, after mum died in bed, I would think, like, okay, dad's next. And then you're the youngest, so brother's next. So
and then it's just going to be you?
Yeah, so it's going to be me. So you better get your shit together and just lock in. Ironically, a lot of that's still relevant in me. I operate like that, I can see. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So 23, 24 is when I realized I had a dad, certain things happen. I was like, all right, let me get my life together, replace drinking with the gym, replaced, feeding my mind with all this negativity with reading and self-development. And the game began, the path started.
So was there a pinnacle turning point was when that hammer dropped, or when you kind of did that realization and you were like, something's got to give, I got to change?
Yeah, it was that brawl because we'll go a little bit deep. I had little rules in the hood for myself, as I'd never smoke weed in the hood, because when I smoke weed, I let my guard. I'm not alcohol. I can be fueled and rage and have that wall up, but I'm a chill guy when I smoke some weed.
Yeah.
So then
it's not protecting you.
Yeah, it's not protecting me. And that one day I decided to, because I thought, man, I've fucking earned my stripes. And that was the day someone turned on me. And it turned on me in a way that it's a jungle. It's a jungle. You're fighting each other for stripes. And someone felt that one of the older guys had a reason to have a go with me. Valid. But I think just the mix of that moment plus actually having my mind expanded high, I just saw something that I'd never seen before. And that was the gateway for me to question everything.
Yeah. And then, that journey then of questioning everything has led you to continuously question everything. And our conversations that we have in our sessions are always, it's asking more questions. And the more questions that we ask, the more questions get unlocked. And then we're just going down this vortex of asking all these questions. And so talk to me and like the audience around frequency. So I think you've been in many different frequencies of rooms, and you've also got a decade of experience in other cultures and other countries. So when did you start tapping in or recognizing frequency, human frequency? What is it? What does it look like? And what is the difference between sort of maybe that loyalty, but what you guys were also doing in that to be able to then maintain the friendship and the love and the loyalty, but not be part of sort of the crime?
I feel frequency is something you can understand mentally, but it's a whole nother game feeling it. Like everyone is feeling a frequency. Every viewer right now, me, you, this little hum. And the hum can feel like it's high and you're almost elated, or it can feel quite low, like grief in your stomach. And it's crazy because like it's momentary as well, whatever you're going through in life. Most people never question that hum. You don't actually need to until you're brought to points in life where you're questioning your own life. And I've questioned my own life many times. Even recently, I will still question my life. And I think it's just the level of, yes, hurt but then the hit points you within. Because if your outside world is crumbling, or if it's just too painful to look at and you're closing your eyes, you're left with this little dialogue in your mind now. And then that pulls you in. So I found losing the mum wasn't enough for me to go inward a little bit. Stepping away from that world and going into self-development wasn't enough. Ironically, it was when I started to hit my capacity as an entrepreneur. Because I thought that was end game. I thought that when I achieve the success, all these answers will be finally, like these pains will be gone. But it didn't. It was a different pain. And it just stacked on with the other pain. So I got introduced in 2017, 27 years old. My personal training business was absolutely killing it. I didn't even know about the tech startup world, but me and a business partner came up with something, and I just came back from Paris, getting all these investors, Dragon's Den, Shark Tank. I'm fully in this world now, playing the role. Fuck, I'm the man. This is I'm Mr. Entrepreneur finally. And I remember a mentor at the time, Steve. He sat with me, and he sat with me in a day where I was, these days where it's you just fucking overwhelmed. You're so overwhelmed the immune system is like crumbling and your nose is running, like you're getting sick. I was in one of those, and that's normal. It's weird how that's normal. And then you just learn to sort of soldier on past that. I sat with him, and he just saw the state of me. And he just asked me a question that challenged everything. He was like, all right, why are you doing all of this? And I was like, oh, I'm trying to get to this money. And then he was like, okay, how much money do you want? If you can imagine any money today, what would it be? I would say another 50 grand would be nice, like right now. And he goes, cool. Yeah. So if that $50,000 was on this table and you had nothing to do to get it, you just had to enjoy this $50,000, what would you do for the rest of the day? And it was a very different day than I had planned. So then he said, you're not even moving like you already have the money. And that's why you'll always be chasing money. And then he even said, because when he got me to imagine it, my feeling, my frequency changed. And that contrast and that flicker, and then I went back to my day, never got out of my mind. I was like, how did a thought change my whole being for a millisecond? And what is this? So if I imagine $50,000, will money find me? So that then led me into law of attraction and The Secret, and then chasing it. And then I started to really realize the truth of it, and where things like God and religion tie into all of this thing that's powering everything, this thing that powers what we are. And yeah, that's probably how I would describe my introduction into frequencies and what it is without just some generic definition where the mind is just like, yeah,
Well, I mean, I think a lot of us can relate to that chasing feeling, because I think a lot of us count success as somewhat a monetary figure, or when I have all of this, the house, the cars, then I will feel happy and I will feel fulfilled. And I just hear so many stories of we can have nice things, but I just hear so many stories of how that materialism doesn't actually equate and correlate to that feeling inside, which is often we can't answer it. Only you can. We can't answer it for other people. Only you can answer if you're truly fulfilled and empowered and happy.
True.
And so, okay, you touched on this entrepreneurial journey. Entrepreneurship, gosh, they say entrepreneurship is the biggest personal development, right? Because it really does test us. It tests your friendship, it tests your resilience, it tests your grit, your tenacity, all of it. And so you entered entrepreneurship from sort of the streets into then PT. Was it fitness that led you into that? Talk to me about how you built that business, and then how you've moved into, we'll talk about all the future and the tech and the AI, but really that introduction to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, the wildest story I probably can't share, but I'll share elements of it. But let's just say, okay, after I left the streets, I wanted to do my dad proud. So I was like, what do you want me to do? He was like, civil engineer. I'll get you a job. So I studied and I jumped into civil engineering. So now I still had my old identity was cornrows, braids, and I'd always wear these glasses. So I still had the braids.
Well, please get an image of that. We need an image of
these.
Yeah,
I got you. I'll show you.
Yeah.
So I remember suiting up, braids, looking in the mirror. It's crazy how you look at yourself in all these different stages, as you would too, right? I remember it, and I was like, all right, okay, it's time. Corporate life, I'm a man now. I'm going to get the car. Civil engineer. I'm going to move up the ladder, $250K per annum eventually, hopefully. That was the mindset. So I I started to notice, like, keep in mind, I come from the streets and hustling, where the more you hustle, the more money you get. That's just the mindset. So the more you give, the more you get. So now I'm being promised this role, et cetera, et cetera. Honestly, within 6 months, I started to realize that there's a lot of empty promises when you're in corporate. It's a long game. And it's almost like your potential is stretched out over 40 years, 45 years, where you don't even really realize what you could do in 4 years, in 4 months, in 4 weeks. And coming from that world fresh, I lasted 6 months. The job just wasn't doing it for me. I was honestly annoying the shit out of my boss because I would always finish like my week's work in a day, and then I would pester him. And then he would get me like leaving the desk to go out on site with the boys just to do something physical, just because I need work. I need to do something. And I was just like, this ain't it. So then there was this one weekend where I was like, if I could do anything that I love, what would it be? And that's what got me into fitness. Okay. Because that was my only like sanity, because I can't be going out and running amok and drinking and going into my civil engineering. So I just replaced that outlet with the gym. Started to find myself, etc. And this is why I even share that, is this is why I was so successful in fitness, because once I got into the industry, everyone was just doing it as a job. I remember when I got this job, because I studied fitness and I graduated in January 2014, and no gym hired me. No, I could not get into any gym up until September. Yeah. So I actually went back to the streets from January to September thinking like, fuck it, I guess this is just who I am. And it was a weird chapter, that one. And then I got a random call from actually my first mentor ever. It was a female, Alex Smile. She called me in September, randomly got my number on my trap phone as well, which is quite funny. So I even picked it up going, yo.
My trap phone? What on earth is a trap phone?
There you go,
I don't know. If you know, you know. God. I don't think I've been on any trap phone numbers, I hope.
It's your other phone.
All right.
It's your street phone. So she called me on that. And I was like, yo. And she was like, excuse me, is this Chent? I was like, oh, yes, Chent speaking, you know. And she goes,
This is he? Yeah.
She goes, I've heard nothing but great things about you. Do you want a job in my gym? And I was like, yes. And she goes, cool. If you want it, can you come right now? I was in the middle of something, and I was like, yep, I'm on my way. Done it, got the job on the spot. She saw something in me. She told me she saw something in me. And I went back into the car park, and I was like, fuck, this is it, bro. Like, you give this everything, and if not, gangster forever. So that was my mentality going into fitness industry in this one position, and that propelled me. I remember PTs, doing benders and then like struggling with their clients, and I'm like, I'll take all overtime, I'll take everything. So I had like 12-hour days back to back of PT, which is just grueling. It was like this for a season. I would do like 11 hours, waking up, like going to sleep 6 hours for another 11 hour, but my 6 hours was another 11 hours sleep, like dream. It was just fucking insane. But that really showed. Within a year, my calendar was fully booked out. I was making really good money, like $3,000 to $4,000 a week for 20 hours of work. And it just gave me so much freedom and flexibility. And I'd already gotten a lot of like the partying, clubbing scene out of my system. Yep. So now I'm like, what course do I buy to make me a millionaire? That's where that game really began.
Yeah. So was it a course?
Hell no.
Yeah, I think then as you start having your basic needs met and you've got this freedom lifestyle and you're starting to make good money, I think the natural human drive, or at least for entrepreneurs, is what other problem can I solve? What other world can I enter? Where can I dabble? And so as you built that, was there any point when you're like, this is now not for me, the fitness industry, and I'm going to step out of this industry and move into another? Or was there sort of like a subtle changeover, a crossover? What did that look like?
Good question. I feel another reason of why the fitness industry was so good is the problem that I'd solved for myself. In bettering myself, I got to fully shift my life around. And that's why I brought that extra spark on that gym floor. It wasn't just about 10 kgs for me, it was shifting identities. And then when that tech startup started to blow up and an idea on my mind, keep in mind, I had invested in all of these courses and programs that promised X amount of thousands of dollars. Some of them did pay, but they were missing something. But the real fun one, it brought back my childlike state, is me and my business partner drawing on a whiteboard ideas. And it was always just the sessions, these whiteboards, ironically, was just imagine if this, what about this? Imagine. And then our imagination on a whiteboard took me, I'm sitting in front of the Eiffel Tower, about to speak on stage with the same CEO of Facebook and Alibaba, etc. Like, this is the power of imagination. It's real. And I've had many people, I'm 27, 28 at that point in Paris, a lot of my peers, when are you going to settle down? When are you going to get a real job? What are you doing, Chent? This is just your imagination. I was like, bro, my imagination is real. It's turning into an actual organization.
Yeah.
And I started to see that commonality across every great entrepreneur that built something insane, is they just were delusional. But
Yes.
they chose not to believe this illusion, and they actually chose to believe something that was not their reality, which became their reality.
Yeah.
And then obviously, once you experience that, it wasn't just about bettering myself and shifting identities. It was about inspiring and activating this imagination and belief in as many people as I can to do the wildest things. That's why when someone sits with me now, it's like, you can tell me, I want to take humans to Jupiter. I'm going to figure out a way how we do that, to be honest, you know? So that's my driver behind, you know, why I do what I do.
What's possible?
What's possible.
Yeah, I love that. And so then does that make sense that you naturally fell into a tech world? Technology is obviously such a huge part of this wave and the wave that's coming. So talk to me about that, because you, as you mentioned, you didn't start off there. I have no idea about half the tech. You're always introducing me to stuff. So yeah, what did that world look like?
I would say two parts led me to tech. Firstly was a lot of my childhood. Again, what do I do when I go home? Computer, internet. And I had the internet I had a computer when I was 5 and the internet when I was 7. So I was always, it was like a second language. Technology was a second language to me. And as internet evolved, I learned how to adapt with rapidly accelerating technology throughout my whole life. I always had the newest phone. It was just a thing. I was fascinated with it. It was like a fantasy for me. That's one side of it. Second side is, how many hours in a day do I have to impact people? Like if I'm doing one-on-one sessions, 40 hours, 40 people, how do I impact 40 million people? Software. You know, I remember seeing in 2017, Facebook had 2 billion monthly active users. So Mark Zuckerberg and this organization is influencing 2 billion lives.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing that, and then with my experience and upbringing, I knew tech was for me. If I want to influence large scale or humanity before I die, I need to get into tech, and I need to keep exploring, diving in, taking risks, just learning the game until I'm able to produce with the team something that can influence at that scale. That's what brings me into software.
It's actually so true. Like just how much, even if we don't know it, like podcasting, social media, everything is on how do we get to one-to-many? How do we get our message across? As entrepreneurs, we have a message, we have a why, we want to share it. Without technology, there is no way we would not be connected, right? I think we met through Instagram, and it just baffles me how much it's changed over the years and what's coming. Do you have any insight into, because you're so in that world, like what is coming, without just kind of just being like, oh, AI, it's here, but what does the seriousness of this technology and what it's about to become do for humankind? Because it's quite dystopian views as well.
Man, integration, words, three things I'll say, then I'll dive into it. Integration at scales you can never imagine, of how technology is going to influence and integrate with every element of our life, and not just part, but element of our life on cellular levels. I'm talking that level.
Yeah.
So next thing is interoperability. What is that word? Is people say AI, blockchain, but when it comes to AI and blockchain, those two communicate with each other, and those two will communicate with mixed reality, and those two will communicate. All technology will begin to communicate and be interoperable with each other. You know, and then finally, I remember there was this point of they called it the point of convergence. And that's something that I started to see in 2016 when I again was in the mixed reality disruptive world, is where all of these technologies are maturing. Like AI is maturing, blockchain is maturing, mixed reality was maturing, and each time they have these trends, like how we had the metaverse trend. They think metaverse died. No, these trends are just accelerants, accelerating development because funding and attention goes into it. But they're all accelerating towards a point where they're all mature enough to to fully interoperably communicate with each other and integrate with our lives. So there's a world you can't fucking imagine where what is it at the end of the day is all the software is just connection, convenience, etc. So just a insanely amplified, enhanced reality where technology is one with us and we are one with technology, which is already the case in ways we don't even realize.
Because that is the blend of you. I think you are very forward thinking and future thinking, and you're all about the innovation and disrupting markets. But then there's a side of you that is deeply enrooted in the core foundations of what it means to be human. That's often what I'm finding is the conversation where when people are fearing or at least not as open to AI and technology coming in, because at the core, we're human beings that need to have connection in not so overstimulated ways. So as you just mentioned then is we're about to create these realities that are amplified and heightened, and like the argument would be like, were we ever meant to become that way and be built that way? Like, what's your opinion on that as you sit on those two?
Yeah, people think one thing replaces the other. But it's like things dance together. Like the colors black and white. For black to be, it doesn't mean white doesn't exist, but together they can make so many different shades. So there's this interoperability and the symbiotic dance between artificial intelligence and what we are, which is universal intelligence. Mm-hmm. Artificial intelligence cannot replace universal intelligence.
Can you go deeper on that?
So universal intelligence is our human essence. Like if we create a superhuman AI, if we can artificially create consciousness, that's still artificial consciousness. It will never be on an essence level the same as what we are. Mm-hmm. So we can never be replicated. But at the same time, we can never outdo AI. AI's computing power is on a whole nother fucking level. And just what technology can do for us. So it's actually a dance between two. But whenever something comes up like that, it always threatens the other. It threatens the status quo, the norm. So that's why it's natural. Like before any sort of like massive, how would I say, restructuring of an economy and a civilization, there has to be a collapse. And the collapse is usually through conflict, disagreement, two sides, etc. So we're naturally going through some form of like the butting of heads, and it may get a lot worse before it gets better. I would say these next 10 years are going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting. A lot of disruption, and like disruptive technologies sound cool, but this is like economies being disrupted, lives being disrupted, mental states being disrupted. That's the reality of it.
And when we say disruption, it's like, oh yeah, we're
Chaos.
going to disrupt the market. But actually that very word is chaos, unknown, uncertainty,
Death,
everything's up.
Suicide, unemployment, massive financial loss, wars. That's the reality of it.
And so is that ultimately worth it, or is that just not our time? Or
we don't have a choice, because if we look at, this is where, is it Ray Dalio? Yes.
Yeah.
His principles. And he's got a real good book on cycles. He looks at cycles of humans on large scales. We're just going for another cycle. We can't uncycle the cycle. It's just like trying to stop day from ever happening. But there's a universal cycle of day and night. There's patterns. And, it's almost like when we become very intelligent and the human animal ego gets inflated a little bit, it's like, I'm going to stop the cycle. I'm going to be the one that stops the cycle. But you can't. And that's where spirituality and grounding really comes into place, where your ego doesn't run rampant and fight against nature. Your power is actually learning how to be one with nature on a human level, but also learning how nature can dance with these technologies too.
Yeah, I love it. Because I think that's the thing. It's not a conversation of whether it's coming or not, because it's here and you can't beat it. And so eventually it's just like when the, World Wide Web came into existence, but we're just advancing so quickly. I want to touch on as well, because there's so many juicy topics and I can talk to you for hours on end, but about proximity, about the people around you. You've gone through so many seasons of life, and you've also, again, gone into tech, into fitness. You've seen collectives of people. What is proximity to power? What is proximity in your network? And then I want to obviously touch on, like, did you have coaching and mentor or people around you that were able to point you away? Or
Yeah, I would say really good question because I'm getting a different lens on it. We think, surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth. True. But it really depends what season you're in. Because if you're, I'll use it on a money scale, right? If you're making $100,000 and you want to be a billionaire, but you're actually in the season of stepping into a millionaire, if you go and hang around with billionaires, yes, the proximity is there, but sometimes the contrast of the jump is so far that you won't get the proximity benefits of that room. So you actually need to really have the introspection to understand what season you're in and honor that. And I've even noticed this from me trying to bring people at certain levels too high. So coming back to that, like proximity is power as long as you know what season you're in.
So can you not quantum leap? Can you not go from one and then essentially, like quantum leap into a whole nother realm that's not chronological or whatnot?
You can, but you just got to know the cost. And sometimes the cost is too high.
Yeah.
Because the cost is the death of your current life, and not in a spiritual way. It's like sometimes, like if the greater the quantum leap, the more wild and rapid the disorder that's going to happen in your life.
Yeah,
and some people can't afford that disorder with how family, kids,
and it can
money
completely break you.
Completely break you, but it has to, because it's such a foreign way of thinking the further you leap.
And so coaching and mentorship, is that kind of a way that you've tapped into other people's mindset, other people's way of life and thinking to then propel you forward in your journey?
Yes, and it can look like many different things. Like, this online world sort of shapes it as coaching is just containers and blocks and money, etc. But there's such a unique, it's just a relationship, to be honest. And it's about identifying people that have something that you feel you want to leap towards. Like, I've had so many different guides in different forms. It hasn't always just been the business mentor for this much money, Sometimes they're not where I want to be in business at all, but they are where I want to be in relationships or something like that, or when it comes to my mindset or spirituality. So it's also being able to go in with that awareness, because I feel a lot of people just blindly follow mentors and they assume everything of that mentor.
Correct.
You need to really identify what you don't want. And I always say, like, don't listen to me on these things, but that area, double down,
Yeah. Because I also think the coaching world nowadays and personal development has just so many icks to it. And a lot of it, the industry is tainted. I don't get caught up in it because that's why I'm not like full-time all in on that particular industry. But you're right, when people go, I've got containers and then I'm going to get you to 10K months, 100K months, whatever. It's always this financial figure. And I do understand that a lot of people look at finances as a measurement of success. But it's just kind of gotten this bad rap for what it's become, and like, or buy my course, or these affiliate programs where all it is just white labeling a course and going into that. But for me, and connecting with you, you've really helped me unpack long-term mentorship that isn't just like, even though when we started, it was a container. It was a 6-week intensive, and we moved through a very specific thing that I needed moving through at that time, which was relationships, actually. It was my relationship breakdown, didn't know who I was, all of that identity. But then this year in 2025, we've moved into this long-term mentorship game, which has just completely shifted my perspective around what coaching is. And yeah, give me your insight into how you work with people, or like a client like me, and why you think that there's value in being in someone's team or someone's corner for a long time and not a short time.
Definitely. I would say, even just touching on what the online space is like, it's become a show, right? It's almost become a presentation. It's this weird self-development coaching culture, and some people are just investing to be one with the culture rather than actually implement what they've learned through their investment. And that was a frustration of mine. Almost like I try to firstly enter the industry as like the anti-coach, right? But then you got to meet them where they are. So I realized that actually the game is playing the game, like playing the game of containers, but in that container, that's your moment to liberate them. So that's why even for me, like when I'm working with anybody, there is always an initial container. It's not a one session thing, because there's always a process on what we're going to work through and step into. I'm always going to hear what an entrepreneur has to say, and where my perspective of reality as I hear their situation. And there's no ceiling for me. And most entrepreneurs and most humans, we have our own ceilings. Like when I say there's no ceiling for me, even I'll have my own in my own way. So you'll find, or I find that when I sit down with a person and hear about their dream, their vision, etc., I can just list a couple of things and they're like, shit, that's exactly what I need. But do you think I can do it? They always believe. Of course. So let's point you in the direction to do that together. So that becomes like our initial phase. And even that initial container for me, not only do we, reorganize and shift everything for them, for me, that's also a gauging period to see like, is there synergy here? Because I'm all about like, again, in any everlasting change or grand impact is happen over decades. It's a marathon. So I'm on my own marathon, and I'm also plugging into different businesses to see where I integrate, where we leverage each other, and we run the marathon together. So that initial testing period where I put the pressure on someone's shoulders, it shows me everything I need to know about their character, but it also shows them what they need to see about their own character.
Yeah.
So sometimes that container is where it ends. Sometimes that container is just the beginning.
Yeah. I think what you do so well in, and your gift, is your ability to upgrade people's identity and belief system. To have you believe in me more than at times I believe in myself, but also that sounding board and that advisory, that's just been, like I said, life-changing for me. I dedicate a lot of my success and a lot of my growth to you as one of those really close inner circle people. So I'm forever grateful and indebted to you.
Thank you.
I think that there needs to be like a part 2, 3, 4, 5 to these conversations, but I'm conscious of time and obviously your time being here in the studio today. I wanted to ask a few just smaller questions in terms of what we can help people that are listening today. Is when there's someone here, a budding entrepreneur that's in the realms of just uncertainty or not actually knowing that they're gonna quote unquote like actually will they make it, right? With this entrepreneurship thing, is like, am I ever gonna get there? Whatever there is for them. What do you have to say for that person that's just like listening to these podcasts, listening to all of this personal development, but then still kind of overwhelmed, procrastinating and stuck?
Yeah, I would say something to them that will be different to what I'd say to you, because that's not you, right? So for them, man, go for the dream. Go for it. Go for the dream. It exists. You can achieve it. You're not gonna achieve the dream sitting on the sideline. You got to go all in. You got to be willing to pay any cost at any price. You got to figure out resourcefulness. You're not going to have the resources to do it. You're not going to have the money you need. You're not going to have the time, the people. You got to get out there. You got to figure it out. You got to build that figure it out muscle. And on the other side, you'll learn a couple of interesting things.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And it's so true. You got to roll your sleeves up and just get in there and start testing and getting feedback.
You got to go main character mode. You can't be
main character energy.
You got to own it. And what will people think? What will people say? That's part of it, right? If you're going to be this big entrepreneur anyway, you're going to have that limelight on you. So put the limelight on yourself. Start showing up, and that will then lead to whatever you need to see.
Oh, I love that. Love that advice. What is your definition of success today?
Weird. It sounds so fluffy. In this moment, I would say actually being here, like being present. I could be here right now with my mind on 101 different things, thinking like, all right, let's just tick podcast box. But actually, in that moment, I realized I'm actually here. I'm actually feeling the cushion. I'm with you. I'm connected to you. I can feel like the coldness. It's actually a little bit nippy in here, but I like it. I like it. I like it. So I'm so fucking present. I feel alive.
Yeah.
This is success.
Yeah, I love it. Everything else is surplus.
Yeah. Not too nippy.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, oh, it's a bit nippy. And then one final question that I leave with every single guest. This podcast is called the Authentic Me podcast. So what does authenticity, Chent, mean to you?
What does authenticity, Chent, mean to me?
Like, you. What does authenticity mean to you?
Be yourself at a point. Okay, being myself so deeply that I'm not having to prove myself to anybody or myself.
Yeah.
Take that how you may.
I was like, say that again.
Yeah, being yourself so deeply that you're not trying to prove yourself to anybody else or even trying to prove yourself to yourself. Because that's what I get lost in a lot. It's like, cool, I'm going to do this to show them, or
But who for?
I'm going to do,
And
and then
yeah.
it even flips to like, all right, I'm going to do it for me. But why am I trying to prove myself to myself? That's another loop. That
Even then, that's ego, isn't it?
100%.
A bit coming in.
Yeah, like I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. I can do it. I'm so proud of you. Like it's healthy. All of these things are healthy, but they're stages. And then there's a stage after
Yeah.
that where you don't need to prove.
You just got to be.
Yeah, and that's the billionaire that walks in. When I say billionaire, that's the cultural icon more so that walks into the room wearing what they want, just glowing though. And it's like, oh wow, that guy's a fashionista, he's this, trendsetter, but he's not even trying. He's just him.
Yeah.
So I'm tapping more and more into that by seeing where I'm still trying to improve is what gives me a lot of fulfillment.
I love it. Chent, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
As I explained, guys, he is my business coach. He's my mentor, my long-term mentor, and he's just incredibly genuine, generous. And every single time I pick up the phone to call him, I say, do you got 5 minutes? And he gives me 45, which I'm forever grateful and indebted to you. So thank you so much for having this conversation with me and joining me today.
Pleasure. Thank you. And thank you.